Good morning, guys. Sorry I can't teach a class tomorrow. I am heading up to Massachusetts for a funeral, but I still wanted to do our books and our terms. So here's a video, and hope you enjoy it. So first things first, we've got two new terms. The first one is theme. And you can maybe think about sometime you've been to or had a birthday party that had a theme, like princesses or soccer. One time we had a Scooby-Doo theme party. Dogs are a favorite at our house. So everything had dogs on it. Or we had a Spider-Man party. Everything had Spider-Man, okay? These are some themes in books, like growing up and love and family. So we're going to use the term theme, and our definition is going to be the big idea, okay? Theme, the big idea. One more new term, alliteration. Okay, alliteration is when words have the same beginning sound. So if you notice here, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, right? We call that a tongue twister. Now, authors, when they use it, they don't use this many, but you will see big blue ball. You'll see different choices. And the reason they do that is because we like it. We like to hear the same sound. It's sort of fun. So authors have word choices, and this is one thing they might do. This is a style of figurative language. So, ready? Alliteration, when words have the same beginning sound. Alliteration. Okay. Quick review. You can say it along with me. Title, the name of the book. Author, the person who writes the words. Illustrator, the person who draws the pictures. Setting, where and when the story takes place. Characters, the people or animals in the book. Fiction, pretend. Nonfiction, true. Conflict, the problem in the book. And remember, it doesn't have to just be between people, right? It can be nature, it could be a storm, some other problem. There has to be a problem in the book for it to be interesting. And we're gonna have some conflict today. Onomatopoeia, words that make sounds. We have one of these in our book today too. Personification, that is giving human qualities to an object. Personification. Simile, this is a comparison that uses like or as. Simile. Metaphor, a comparison that does not use like or as. And our example is, the man is a dead battery. Okay? If we said the man is like a dead battery, it'd be a simile. But the man is a dead battery. He's not a dead battery, but it gives us an idea, right? Because we know what a dead battery is like. Done. He's done. Needs to recharge. Cause and effect. The relationship between two things where one thing makes something else happen. Genre. Oh, a fancy word. Just means category. Plot. Sorry, this card doesn't have more color. Our definition is what is happening in the book and why. And remember our two new terms. Theme, the big idea. Alliteration, when words have the same beginning sound. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to read one of my favorites. Two books today. First is Allie Gets in First by Shirley Hughes. She's the author and illustrator. Okay, situated. One day, Alfie and Mom and Annie Rose were coming home from shopping. Alfie ran on ahead because he wanted to get home first. He ran all the way from the corner to the front gate and up the steps to the front door. Then he sat down on the top step and waited for the others. Along came Mom, pushing Annie Rose and the groceries. "I raced you," called Alfie. "I'm back first, so there." Annie Rose didn't care. She was tired. She sat back in her stroller and sucked her thumb. Mom put the brake on the stroller and left Annie Rose at the bottom of the steps while she lifted the basket of groceries up to the top. Then she found the key and opened the front door. Alfie dashed in ahead of her. "I've won! I've won!" he shouted. Mom put the basket down in the hall and went back down the steps to lift Annie Rose out of her stroller. But what do you think Alfie did then? He gave the door a big slam. Bang! Just like that. Then Mom was outside the door holding Annie Rose, and Alfie was inside with the groceries. Mom's key was inside too. "Open the door, Alfie," said Mom. But Alfie didn't know how to open the door from the inside. The catch was too high up. Mom looked into the mail slot. "Try to reach the catch and turn it," she said. Alfie tried, but he couldn't quite reach it. "Can you put the key through the mail slot?" asked Mom. But Alfie couldn't reach the mail slot either. Annie Rose was hungry, as well as tired. She began to cry. Then Alfie began to cry too. He didn't like being all by himself on the other side of the door. Just then, Mrs. McNally came hurrying across the street to see what all the noise was about. She and Mom said encouraging things into the mail slot, but Alfie still couldn't open the door. "Go and get your chair from the living room, and then you'll be able to reach the catch," said Mom. But Alfie didn't try to get his little chair. He just went on crying louder and louder, and Annie Rose cried louder and louder too. "There's my Maureen," said Mrs. McNally. "I'm sure she'll be able to help." Mrs. McNally's Maureen was a big girl. Right away she came and joined Mom and Annie Rose and Mrs. McNally on the top step. "Might have to break a window," she said, "but I'll try to climb up the drain pipe first if you like." But Mrs. McNally didn't like that idea at all. "Oh no, Maureen, you might hurt yourself," she said. Just then, Alfie's very good friend, the milkman, came up the street in his milk truck. When he saw Mom and Annie Rose and Mrs. McNally and Mrs. McNally's Maureen all standing on the top step, he stopped his truck and said, "What's the trouble?" So they told him. "Don't worry, mate," the milkman shouted. "We'll soon have you out of there." Looks as though this lock's going to be difficult to break," said the milkman. But then Mrs. McNally's Maureen had a very good idea. She ran to ask the window cleaner who was working up the street if he would bring his ladder and climb up to the bathroom window. And of course, when the window cleaner heard about Alfie, he came hurrying along with his ladder as quickly as he could. Then Mom and Annie Rose and Mrs. McNally and Mrs. McNally's Maureen and the milkman all stood on the top step and watched while the window cleaner put his ladder up against the window. He started to climb up to the bathroom window, but when he was halfway up the ladder, what do you think happened? The front door suddenly opened, and there was Alfie. He had managed to reach the catch and turn it like that. After all, he was very pleased with himself. He opened the front door as wide as it would go and stood back grandly to let everyone in. Then the window cleaner came down from his ladder, and he and the milkman and Mrs. McNally's Maureen and Mrs. McNally and Annie Rose and Mom and Alfie all went into the kitchen and had tea together. I hope you like that book. So that had conflict, right? Alfie got locked in, and it had, we heard some onomatopoeia, bang, right? And beyond that, I just love this book. I think there's some themes about people helping each other out that I really like. Um, and this neighborhood, I don't live in a neighborhood like this, but I like the neighborhood and that they know each other and they help each other out. So I thought that was a sweet book. There's a whole bunch of Alfie books. So if you're interested, check it out. There's a collection. I got one at the library once. I have a bunch of Alfie books. He gets into sometimes some trouble, but not too bad. He's a cute kid. Okay, A Weekend with Wendell by Kevin Henkes. And he is the author and illustrator. On Friday afternoon, Wendell's parents dropped him off at Sophie's house. Wendell's going to spend the weekend with us, said Sophie's mother, while his parents visit relatives out of town. Oh, boy, said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. After a snack, Sophie helped Wendell carry a sleeping bag and suitcase upstairs. Well, what are we going to do now? Asked Wendell. Do you have any toys? Sophie pointed to her toy chest. Is that all you've got? Said Wendell. I've got 1,000,000 times more than that. What else is there to do around here? We could play house, said Sophie. Only if I can make the rules, said Wendell. So they played house, and Wendell made the rules. He was the father, the mother, and the 5 children. Sophie was the dog. Then they played hospital. Wendell was the doctor, the nurse, and the patient. Sophie was the desk clerk. When they pretended they worked in a bakery, Wendell was the baker and Sophie was a sweet roll. Isn't this fun? Said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. At dinner, Wendell said that he was allergic to anything green, so he didn't have to eat his vegetables. And then when Sophie wasn't looking, he scooped the whipped cream off her dessert. When is Wendell leaving? Whispered Sophie. Soon, said her mother. Soon, said her father. After Sophie's parents tucked Sophie in her bed, zipped Wendell in his sleeping bag, kissed them both, and turned off the light, Wendell grabbed his flashlight and shone it right in Sophie's eyes. See you tomorrow, he said, smiling. Sophie shut her eyes. I can't wait for Wendell to go home, she said to herself. On Saturday morning, when Sophie woke up, there was a lumpy blue monster jumping up and down on her bed. It was Wendell. She felt something pinch her leg at breakfast. It was Wendell. She heard scary noises coming from the broom closet. It was Wendell. Wendell used Sophie's crayons and left them on the porch, so they melted. At lunch, Wendell finger painted with his peanut butter and jelly. Isn't this fun? Said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. When is Wendell leaving? Whispered Sophie. Soon, said her mother. Soon, said her father. At bedtime, when Sophie put her head on her pillow, she heard something crunch. It was a note from Wendell. It said, See you tomorrow. Sophie shut her eyes. I can't wait for Wendell to go home, she said to herself. Before Wendell's parents picked him up on Sunday morning, he tried to make a long-distance call. Is this the North Pole? He wrote his name on the bathroom mirror with toothpaste. And he gave Sophie a new hairdo with shaving cream. Want to go outside and help me wash this off? Asked Sophie. We could play firefighter. Oh, boy, said Wendell. So they played firefighter. And Sophie made the rules. She was the fire chief, and Wendell was the burning building. Isn't this fun? Said Sophie. Wendell didn't say anything. Do I get to be fire chief? Asked Wendell. Maybe, said Sophie. Soon Wendell and Sophie didn't care who was the fire chief or who was the burning building. Time to go, said Sophie's mother. Time to go, said Sophie's father. Already? Said Wendell. Already? Said Sophie. When is Wendell coming back? Asked Sophie. Never, said her mother. Never, said her father. That afternoon, when Wendell unpacked his suitcase, he heard something crunch. It was a note from Sophie. It said, I hope I see you soon. So a little conflict in that book too, but I like how it got resolved. And that's it for Great Books this week. Thanks so much for listening, and keep reading, guys, and tell me about great books you read, and I will see you next week via Zoom. All right, bye.